WG HD2 Northport, W265CG Tuscaloosa, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to Summit and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I running back coach didn't take you fast. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be viewed on Facebook at Martin Houston Live, at YouTube at Martin Houston on YouTube at Martin Houston Live, and on Tide 109 on Facebook. Also broadcasting at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. We are live and local and ready to get things going on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. I want to welcome Mr. Joe back to the morning seat. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great today, Martin. I'm glad to talk to you and glad to be back in kind of getting a normal routine.
Yeah, I know. I guess everybody goes through the shortage of employees. In our case, I think you're bringing on new interns and all that stuff. So glad to have you back, man. And been some interesting stories to happen throughout the week. Like to get your thoughts on a couple of those as we move throughout the morning on coaches added and coaches leaving yet again from the Saban coaching tree. So we can talk about that, but also combine getting going. Man, I did not realize how many of Alabama's key players. You know how because it did not happen at once. We still ended up with a lot of injuries, and that's kind of the reputation that Dr. Ray had, that he was going to reduce the injuries. But we ended the season with a lot of guys with questionable injuries as far as our seniors and upperclassmen, and that kind of becomes obvious as I'll make a rundown here in just a moment of the guys up at Combine and what they're going through. Also, Bama taking on Texas A&M tonight. Alabama is kind of weird for us, man. We're sitting here looking once again, and Alabama a lock for several weeks going into the tournament, but now pretty good lock for, at the worst case, a number 5 seed. In best case scenario, probably a 4 seed, despite what happens in the tournament. So we can talk about that. And for us Bama fans, you know, we kind of been the notorious bubble team. So we as fans, I know we've been kind of hard on this team at times, but I think it's because of potential, and we'll look at whether we think how far you think this Bama team can advance once they get to the tournament realistically. And then we'll talk a little spring ball, and we'll end the day with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Joe, just a couple quick touch base stories since I hadn't got to talk with you about it. The Nick Saban bringing on Todd Grantham. I know you've been working on a couple other shows. Was it a mixed bag between the fans in terms of Todd Grantham and on some of the other shows you have produced this past week or so?
Oh, Martin, I think most of the fan base is pretty happy to have Todd Grantham in. I'm sure you probably touched on his up and down success,
Yeah.
as a defensive coordinator. While I think the most of the reception though is happy to have him, happy to have somebody that Pete Golding can bounce ideas off of, and just welcoming big names into the analyst room. Most of the Alabama fans that I've heard from and kind of just been listening to are pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we had a couple that were concerned with potential character issues, and I said, well, that kind of fits who Saban brings in. He hasn't necessarily brought in and squeaky clean into his analyst program per se when it comes to former head coaches, but in this case, DC coordinator. I like it. I like it, Joe, because. Uh, One of the things I believe in leadership that you do is you bring in people who complement you, not who are just like you. And his, style of defensive aggression is a lot more aggressive than what we've had. And can you imagine releasing Will Anderson and helping him even more? Think about how good he got if you go down the stretch, when people got to the point where they were blocking him, what did Alabama try to do with? What did Alabama not try? What did Alabama start doing? They started doing more loops and stunts and twists and things like that, getting him free. Well, that's Grantham's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And late in the year, you saw this exactly with that concept. They put Dallas Turner on the same side as
Yeah.
Will Anderson, and they had Christian Harris up at the line. And Pete Golding was getting creative
Yeah.
towards the very end of the season. I'm sure Grantham would just love to kind of influence some of that.
Yeah, and that's what I think you'll see out of Grantham. What about Dooley, man? Nick Saban going back into his old coaching tree, but also into his SEC, and I also think Dooley comes with that Louisiana connection as well. It seems like Saban did a lot this year to get uh, all the new guys from the analysts to the coaches were all former SEC ties of some sort, student, player, coach, assistant, whatever, head coach, DC, and all of them bringing that to it. Nick Saban got a plan, but what are your thoughts in terms of Dooley coming in as an analyst as well?
Not a whole lot of reactions to Derek Dooley.
Right.
He obviously didn't do very good at Tennessee, but he's had so much time now since the Tennessee days as coaching for the Giants and the Cowboys and such. I don't know. It's cool because it's a name that I recognize. I think that, but I don't know how much of an impact, how much of a impact he would make over another guy in his position. I'm sure Coach Saban obviously bringing him in for good reasons, but as far as does he move the needle? He's not really moving the needle too much for me based off his lackluster success. But it's great to get a familiar name and somebody that has worked with Coach Saban before. I think Coach Saban is really. I think he's making strategic hires in this analyst room and really everywhere. But you look at what he's doing with the analysts, Martin. I think that he's always learning from his time with losing Lane Kiffin unexpectedly. Always got guys who are like just ready to fill in case unexpected things happen. I think Derek Dooley's one of those kinds of coaches.
Yeah, what was our thought when we thought that? What was our question? One of the biggest questions that was asked in this past offseason: who's going to be the OC if O'Brien leaves? If O'Brien leaves, who we're going to hire? He didn't have that OC in waiting, I guess is the way to put it. And I think Dooley at least you would think potentially answers that question if he is not hired away, and if O'Brien decides next year to head out of here, then he has a guy that he knows, that he trusts, that has been with him. I think that's part of it, and I think the other part is I think he helps with the this year's team as well. I don't think it's just a hire in the future type of thing. I think he's as much a part of this season and helping O'Brien maybe with this offense, because man, we have such a young offense and so many guys that if they all come back, we won't be as young, but we're still looking at the running back room where we don't know who all's going to be healthy enough to play. We have all the wide receivers that are new. So I think having an extra set of experienced eyes that know Saban, number one, but also when you bring in those new coaches, uh, other than our wide receiver coach, pretty much everybody is new on offense, with O'Brien being the second most experienced guy over there. So, as you say, Saban's always doing things strategically to help move things along. What do you think about Dr. Ray to New Orleans?
I think it's interesting because I think it's Dr. Ray is been on kind of a fast track, really accelerating his career. And so moving on to the NFL is just kind of the next big stage. I think that I think he's passionate about his science and about his viewpoints on athletics, and if he can kind of get it going in the NFL, that's going to just establish him with more credibility. So for him, I think it makes great sense, and it makes sense from an ambition standpoint as well. It's going to be interesting, Martin, to see if he gets replaced. If he gets replaced on staff as Dr. Ballou, what he's going to do. What did I see last night? Paul Constantine is a name that I've seen expected to take over. Has been reportedly been an understudy for the last 4 years for Dr. Ray. That's just the rumor that I've seen will replace Dr. Ray. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You can't leave the sports science building empty, so somebody's got to. And I mean, you spent all that money on that science center. You gotta get somebody in there to be running the thing.
Yeah, and one of the big things was that Dr. Ray came in and helped reduce our injuries. And in some ways you feel that way, but I was looking at combine information, and that's what we're going to flip to on the other side. Talk about some of the Bama guys up at combine, where they are. It's a lot of guys with a lot of injuries, which of course it shows you that it's not always about the science and the training. I asked a question yesterday: if there was anything missing or lacking from the Ray Ballou experiment, what would it be? And I'll get your thoughts on that as well. If there's anything you would say, hey, with the new guy, I hope he improves this one thing. Not that it's necessarily a weakness, but where could Alabama get better in terms of what the strength and conditioning program brings? And we'll look at a couple of these guys up at combine as well, as Alabama has 11 guys that headed up that way, most of them not able to run or work out, but they'll be going through the interviews and the medical exams. How is Bama faring in that? We'll talk about that more right here on the Martin Houston Show. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business, 205-342-9904, the Taco Casa hotline. And remember, Taco Casa, great choice for lunch and or dinner. So go check them out. One of their 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama. One up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive as well. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet as we start this Wednesday morning. If you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, please give me a call. 205-886-8886. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Do you have chronic joint pain like in your knees and hips? It's time to think about an exciting new way to treat joint pain with biologic therapies, regenerative solutions. I'm talking about QC Kinetics, now available here. Hey, it's Gary Harris. Lots of people here have called QC Kinetics already. They are the nation's leader in helping people deal with chronic pain with no surgery, no drugs, no steroids, and no downtime. These natural pain treatments can actually repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints with long-lasting results. I'm telling you, biologic solutions help your body heal itself. If you have joint pain due to arthritis, lower back pain, shoulder pain, you need to change the way you think about pain treatments and discover the biologic therapies at QC Kinetics. Get moving again. Get your life back with no surgery and no drugs. Call QC Kinetics now to learn more at 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941. If you have joint pain due to arthritis, lower back pain, shoulder pain, you need to change the way you think about pain treatments and discover the biologic therapies at QC Kinetics. 205-686-1941. Get real pain relief today.
Saving at the Home Depot means you can do more for less. Like making dishwashing easier with this KitchenAid dishwasher, complete with third-level rack and a Pro Wash cycle that adapts to each load. Enjoy savings on top-rated appliances online, in-store, or on the Home Depot app. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Valid February 10th through March 2nd, 2022. Free delivery applies to orders of $396 or more. Saving at the Home Depot means you can do more for less. Like making your laundry and life easier with a Samsung laundry pair with steam technology that eliminates stains and reduces wrinkles and odors. Enjoy savings on top-rated appliances online, in-store, or on the Home Depot app. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Valid February 10th through March 2nd, 2022. Free delivery applies to orders of $396 or more.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another big warm-up today with a good supply of sunshine, the high at 74. For tonight, the sky clear, the low at 42. And the warming trend continues tomorrow and Friday. The sky sunny both days. The high tomorrow 76, the high Friday at 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 36 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Southmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at southmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Martin back in 3-2.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, and want to remind you to go over, is there's still time to get on board or take advantage of the Alabama One promotions, slate of promotions, the Alabama One credit card balance transfer, as well as the Alabama One home equity line of credit, or better known as HELOC special offer. When it comes to the credit card, you can get zero balance transfer fees. So bring that money from that high interest rate credit card to a low interest rate credit card and not be charged any fees. And then there'll be $0 on annual fees. First 6 months, you will have no interest, and then starting as low as 7.99. So we'll slow down the impact of the interest on your balance, and cash back rewards included. And then on the HELOC, local servicing, no origination fee or closing costs, up to 100% financing, and the rate starting as low as 3%. That's Alabama One. You can go to our website, alabama1.org, and find out more information and apply there, or stop by one of our locations. All right, Joe, as we were going to break there, talking about Dr. Ray and what he's doing, you know, if you look at it, and we'll see what the results are. But right now, Alabama, you know, when you think about injuries, that was one of the big things that we had hoped to see change once we got him. And it does feel different. But we ended the season with Jamison Williams, John Mechie, Josh Jobe and Jalen Armour Davis as guys who were injured. And would you say that those two position groupings, two wide receivers, two DBs, if you go back and look at that one Georgia game, you can kind of go, if we had maybe one of those guys uh, out of those four, we might end up winning because Josh Jobe's replacement, got beat on a nice pass down the sideline, and of course we know what happened when Williamson went out. The offense kind of went backwards. But any thoughts on that, real quick? And then I'm gonna list a couple other guys that are still having nagging injuries as well.
Yeah, I think that I think that was the big reputation you bring in Ray and Blue to cut down the injuries, and I think to a degree that happened. To a
Yeah,
degree,
absolutely.
Yeah, you can make a case that it wasn't as significant as we were hoping for. Martin, you touched on the running backs and the receivers and the cornerbacks, and you're exactly right. But you've also got two running backs who went down with ACL injuries.
Yep.
And Brian Robinson couldn't just seem like he was dinged up with something
all year.
towards the tail end of the year. Now, good on them getting them ready for the SEC championship game, this, that, and the other. But I'm with you, Martin. I don't think that they had quite as big of an impact on the injuries as we probably initially assumed.
That's right. And then, of course, when you look at LeBron Ray nagging injuries, and I think that's him. But of course, Christian Harris had some throughout the year. So it's a lot of guys up there. I think Slade Bolton may be the only guy up there. Him and Neal may be the only guys up there that don't have some type of nagging injury. But a lot of these guys are going to do their thing on pro day anyway. So hopefully they'll be able to compete. One other thing before we get to Tom, Joe, is there anything about the Ray Ballou experiment that you would say, I wish we had a little bit more of this, or they helped our guys do this a little bit better?
Personally, no, for me, because I like the scientific approach. I like the analytical approach. I know a lot of people may be looking for more power, more to get back to the Scott Cochran days of heavy power. And there's got to be some credence to that for sure. But I think I like the direction that Alabama has been going over the last couple of years. Man, I think we're still in the early stages in the second year. Let it get going 3, 4, 5 years. And let's see what it looks like down the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade Joe for the direction we're going. I would just say that's why I said not a weakness, something you would like to see them make sure that we don't lose. And it may not become two things. It may not become as big a deal. I just want us to be able, if we have to run the ball in short yardage, not that I'm not asking us to run the ball more per se. I'm just saying in short yardage or closed areas that we have more power when we decide to do it. So as we continue to move down the scientific road, which with the way the game's going, if you have to choose whether you lose speed, agility, and quickness or gain strength, then you choose where we've been the last 2 years. But if we could just add a little bit more power for those for mostly just the linemen, it's more of a lineman thing. Then that's what I would like to see happen from a power standpoint or strength standpoint for those 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, or 1st and goal at the 4, which once again you could literally say situational football, we lost 2 games this year because of either inability, lack of trust, or an OC who refuses to call run plays in NFL mindset. You could easily say we lost to Georgia and A&M because of the decisions we made at the goal line. So inside the 5. Not only reason, but you definitely saw numerous opportunities to get points where we didn't. All right, let's get to Tom. Tom, thanks for your patience. You're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mark. How are you this morning?
Doing well, sir.
The conversation that you and DC had yesterday concerning the power football, and you brought up that there were 2 things that it could be. That would be the lack of the strength to do the short yardage and convert, or the lack of ability. And then then you think about the sequence of events that happened after the season, and that's Ray going to New Orleans and Marone out as offensive line coach, and a new coach coming in from a team that has been pretty successful running the football. And so when you put those items together, the conversation you were having and the point you made with DC yesterday stand out. And I think that Coach Saban's no dummy. I think he understands football inside and out, and I think you do as well. So when I put all that together and start reading between the lines, I think he saw the same thing you did. So look, we don't have the power to make the conversions on these short yardage situations. So we got to do something about that. And out goes Ray, and we're on the hunt for whatever it takes to fix the problem. Don't you agree?
No, I don't think that Saban got rid of Ray in terms of that. Now he could have been asking for him to work on it, and maybe Ray left, but I don't think that Saban would have pushed him out. I do think the Marone thing was a change that he felt needed to be made. Let me tell you why. Curtis Lewis points out why I don't think Saban would have got rid of Ray. He says, I don't see a reduction in injuries. I didn't see a reduction. I did see an uptick in recruits, though, listing Alabama Sports Science Complex as a reason they came to Bama. So Ray was a positive on the recruiting side. So I don't think Saban would have pushed him out per se. But I do think it's possible that Saban could have asked for, hey, we have to get these guys stronger. And maybe Ray didn't want that or not. But I just think it may be back to Joe's original comment that Ray has gone from a guy who less than a decade ago was dealing with high school athletes with his science technology and within a matter of 5-6 years he's now on the NFL stage working with the best athletes in the world. And you would assume, and Joe, you can come in on this, you would assume if the science works on a high school kid making them better, then it is magnified when you get to a point where you can knock off speed off of a guy at the NFL level.
Absolutely, I think if you're dealing with high level athletes like that,
Yeah.
Your methods are probably going to be much more effective than
Right.
average Joes like me in high school.
That's right. So anything. Hey, but Tom, yeah, I do think that the change was. I do, without a doubt. I think Marone was a guy that he was like, we have to get better, and I would not be surprised if he asked Baloo. I mean, not Baloo, but Ray. Hey guys, we have got to get our power, and that's why I said it's not a weakness per se, but it's if you add power to this, you have a chance to improve. So
Mark, let me ask you this. Let me ask the football question. There's going to come some point in the game, though, where you have got to have the power to convert a short yardage. Especially when you get down there in the fourth quarter and all like that, you're trying to extend the drive and burn the clock. You've got to have that element in your arsenal, do you not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it cost us against Texas A&M. I mean, without a doubt.
I do too.
Yeah, we couldn't get the job done in the fourth quarter.
I didn't think about all that until yesterday. You and DC was you were telling DC what you thought was going on as far as the ability of our offensive line, but it all made sense. And then when you look at all the pieces that failed after the season was over, I disagree with you on Ray. I think that was probably saying, we need something a little bit different here, and then there was a movement.
All right. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you, sir. Have a good one. All right, we're getting some few comments on the strength and conditioning side on chat, but we'll get to them in just a second. Pat, you in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. And, I can't understand, why, you would think that he would have had different workouts or different, speed kills no matter what. And it was obvious what he did for our wide receivers that we had were absolutely special when it came to speed. And speed, as they say, speed kills it no matter what level you're at. But why would he have not had was he? You think he was not willing to change? Surely you got completely different workouts for your linemen than you do the rest of the people.
Well, they actually
doesn't make any sense.
well, Pat, they're even more advanced than that. The workouts are, from my understanding, they're kind of almost customized.
Exactly.
Not
That's
so
my
so
point.
so it's not a matter of whether he did. I want to make sure, and Joe, help me out. I don't want any Bama fans to hear Martin Houston saying negative stuff about Dr. Ray and what he did for this Alabama program. Without Dr. Ray, Alabama may not win the national championship a year ago. What and this year, I'm just saying that's an area that I would like to see improved. I'm not saying it was bad, because I can't answer. And CJ Watson says this. He says, I'm not sure that we lost power on the O-line due to strength and conditioning. Maybe we did, but I lean more to position coaching and play calling consistency on that one. I actually think it's a combination of the three. I think it was coaching, technique, play calling, and possibly the strength and conditioning. I think it was a combination thereof, Pat. So it sounds like, just the way the conversation is going, that I'm being negative about the last 2 years of our strength and conditioning program, and I'm not. I think we have improved. I would, like I said, I would take the improvements we've made everywhere else over that one thing that I would like to see more of if I have to choose. I look at Will Anderson. Did anybody, Joe, you remember the statistic they gave us? Will Anderson ended the year as a freshman as one of the most explosive players in college football. They said his efficiency and effectiveness with all of the measurements that they measure, he went up over 33% last year. Was that not obvious on the football field? So let's take that for example. I wouldn't trade that for the it's just I just don't want him to come across that I'm like what happened with Scott Cochran. Bama fans were wrong what they did with him, and we're not going to do this with Ray. When Scott Cochran left, all of a sudden everybody was dogging Scott Cochran, and I was not going to dog him because what he did up until that point had been mission critical to the success Alabama had, Pat. And so I know what you're saying and I'm saying, but I don't want people to think that I'm being negative about Ray. I just think that is an area that we, if this new guy can come in and keep the science, or if we can move the science along and add more strength and power to our big boys. To me, I look at it from the standpoint, why didn't any of these young freshmen come in this year? Were they less talented than the ones that we've been getting, the J.C. Lathams of the world? But they never could break into that offense. And this was as bad as an offensive line as we've had, but they couldn't break into it. Where before we've had great offensive linemen, and we still could have freshmen come in. I don't know if that's related to strength and conditioning either.
Well, I got one other thing.
Go ahead.
But back when I was in college
When the earth was cooling.
Yeah, well, I voted for the peanut farmer, and I'm sorry that I voted for the peanut farmer for this simple reason. The same thing is currently happening in Alabama. They are banning the Russians from the World Games, and I wanted you to chime in on it because back we had a group of athletes who were good friends of mine that were Olympians and would have been in the Olympics, but were banned from competing. This is wrong in every aspect. Sports brings people together. You can go all the way back to the 36.
Hey, Pat. Pat,
there. Go ahead.
let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Did you agree with the restrictions that were added because of COVID? Did you were you one of the proponents of not allowing things to happen because of COVID?
No.
Huh?
No,
Yes, yes, you were. You were okay with football and all those things. Huh?
We just needed people just all needed to
You,
wear their good quality masks, which nobody ever listened to me.
right. But what I'm saying is you were okay with the consequences of what happened in because of what your view was on how we should handle COVID. And as a result of you and many who had that view, whether right or wrong, there was consequences that happened to people who disagreed and didn't have anything to do with the decisions you were making that were being made. Athletes lost. There were guys who last year who lost opportunities to play because of government making decisions around COVID. And you may say, well, that people are going to die. Well, that's what's happening in Ukraine, Pat. And the only way to send a message to those leaders is to get their people to respond and say, hey, this is wrong. And one of the ways to do that is I hate it for the athletes, and I wouldn't like it if I was one of the athletes. But I understand that you have to use what's available to you to help bring about the change. So I'm not gonna say I feel extremely bad for the athletes from those countries, but that's part of the consequences that happen, and that happens all the time in our society. Pat, there were players who did not get to play their senior year because because of what happened in decisions that the government made around COVID. And all those athletes didn't agree necessarily that that's what needed to happen around COVID. It's only if you think you're right that you say, well, those athletes were just wrong. But if you think that the athletes weren't wrong in the way they felt, then those athletes were completely unfair. So I could come on here today and say, man, all of those people who made those decisions last year around COVID and not letting those players play, it's absolutely 100% wrong. You see what I'm saying? So always be careful how you make things in choices and decisions. Unfortunately, there has to be a stand of solidarity around the world against Russia and what they're doing. And unfortunately for the athletes who were set to compete in the World Games, the athletes who have missed out on Olympics and different things like that, that's kind of what happened. Uh, that's kind of what happens, unfortunately, and you know it from a personal standpoint that it's really unfair to the athletes. But unfortunately, maybe that'll make them make changes in Russia.
I doubt that seriously. But
Yeah.
But what the thing is was in '36, if Jesse Owens hadn't been allowed to beat the German Supermen,
Yeah.
hey, the fact that of what Jesse Owens, the breakthroughs that he made for athletes throughout the world,
Yeah.
that hey wouldn't have happened.
Right. That's right.
It's a lot longer happening.
I agree.
Jesse Owens was a superhero.
Yeah.
And but anyway,
I appreciate you, man.
See what you thought about it.
Yeah, yes, sir. I appreciate you, Pat. Thanks, man. All right. All right, coming back on the other side, we'll have a quick segment to wrap up this Baloo conversation. Ray strength conditioning conversation, getting some thoughts there. And if you want to chime in on either the Russia World Games banning athletes conversation or Dr. Ray, you can always do that on the Taco Casa hotline, 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a fairly serious wreck on Alabama 216 at Charles Tyler Road in Abernathy. You can expect delays. And another minor wreck on University Boulevard at Alabama 216 in Cottondale. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Hey, Pete, how's business? It's great. Foot traffic's still way down, but more people are finding me online. Nice. How'd you pull that off? Well, the first thing I did was go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there were for businesses like mine. So I guess there were a lot? Yeah, there were hundreds of local searches every month. So after I saw that, they helped me position my business online to get in front of those customers. That's awesome. I wonder how many people are searching for my services around here. Well, it's quick and easy to get the answer. Plus, it's free. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com to find out. If there are a lot of searches, you should definitely get in front of them. If there aren't, no harm, no foul.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Hey, really glad to have you with us. Don't have a lot of time, but I do want to get those comments that came in on via chat, talking about the Ray Ballou conversation and injuries and speed versus strength. We got more speed but lost power on the O-line and D-line. That's Virgil Williams. C.J. Watson pointing out last year, talking about the shortened season, perhaps didn't tell as much of injury lesson story since it was a little bit of a shortened season due to COVID. And then, of course, we talk about Ray going up and helping the pro athletes. Virgil Williams pointing out something that was shared last week. Most pro athletes have their own strength and conditioning coaches. He was asking that question, and that is true. So it will be interesting to see if he has as much impact or not. Greg Armstrong said, Dr. Ray made a huge improvement on non-contact injuries. This year we got hit with weird contact injuries on knees. Both wide receivers went down with a non-contact injury. I mean, neither one of those guys got hit. They were just running. But that's what happens with that. Listen, I'm not saying he caused the injuries. Those types of injuries happen, but I was just pointing that out. And then we had some conversation around the Ukraine story, and Curtis Lewis saying, what about video of Ukraine officials not letting blacks on the buses and trains to escape? Makes it tough. Actually, it was blacks and non-Ukrainian people. And I think the world's going to have to call Ukraine out about that, because it shows you just how the depravity of the human race is when people are trying to escape, that even in that moment, there's still discrimination against those who are different than us. And that does make it tough. And I think the Ukraine people, that is something that needs to be addressed, because it's been sad to see that being reported. And then last but definitely not least on this, I personally think Dr. Ray was great, and I hate to see him go. I agree with his positive impact on recruiting heading up to Sports Center. Good things is that stays, but can Saban maximize this impact depending on how that position is covered moving forward? I'd say it's likely will be as good or better, but maybe not till next season, seeing as it is a little late in the offseason. But I bet regardless, there isn't much or any ground lost by Ray moving on. So, all right, let's get to Leon. Leon, you in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, sir.
I know you. Good morning. I'm gonna be real quick. I know you're pressed for time, but this is concerning the band, the athlete thing, and all that. It's a simple answer to that you can easily explain without having a. You can get the shortest mind of person to understand this right here. There's no way you can sanction a government without it punishing the people that are governed by that government. It's just plain and simple.
Right.
You feel for the Leons and the average Joes that's walking the plains of those countries. But if your country make a decision that's not, it's not taboo with the rest of the governments of the world, then they decide to punish that government. Then the people that are governed by that government just have to suffer. And that's not just Russia. That's anywhere in the world. That's just the way that is. That's a simple explanation of that.
Yeah, and you nailed it. And unfortunate that we put sports in different light than we do other things. But that when we're saying, oh, it's unfair for them not to come compete, well, it's unfair that those people in Russia who didn't do anything wrong can't go to the bank and get money out and buy groceries. But that's the
that's the nature of your government being punished by the rest of the world.
Right.
That's the nature of it. That's just a simple explanation. Without all the other stuff that will confuse a smaller or lesser mind. Yeah, man, it's just like if your mom and your dad get punished by someone outside of the home.
That's consequence.
But the child didn't do it.
Great point. Thanks, Leon. I appreciate you, sir.
You have a blessed day, man. I really enjoy your show. I listen every morning. I just don't get the call. I'll be on the way to work.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling and clearing that up for us. I appreciate that. That's Leon breaking it down, man, making it simple that we can all can understand. Coming back on the other side, we'll have Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. He's up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a fairly serious wreck on Alabama 216 at Charles Tyler Road in Abernathy. You can expect delays. And another minor wreck on University Boulevard at Alabama 216 in Cottondale. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands.
And that's why the Alabama Department of Labor is here to get you back to working hard. Work is a part of all of us. Let us help you get back to it. by visiting your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the
network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need: 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. This is the Martin Houston Show, and it's now time for us to kick things over to Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Martin, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'll toss it to you to continue to encourage us how to incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, our chosen field of play, and keep it as the first things first.
Absolutely. We are kind of coming to a close on our series, First Things First, beginning of a new year, wanting to give you guys some things to focus on as we look at building a firm foundation for our lives. We've looked at Christ as the center of that life. Like, again, if you're going to build a foundation, Christ has to be the center of that. And we talked about that looking like you surrendering your life to Christ and then you living your life off of the throne. In other words, living a life submitted to him. And a few things that will help us do that: spending time in his word on a consistent basis. Again, our goal has been to develop habits in these areas. Spending time in God's word, because that's the way God speaks to us. Spending time in prayer, again, because that's the way we speak to God. Spending time in fellowship with other believers. Our other teammates, as we use sports analogies. You know, we're part of a team. When we give our lives to Christ, we're part of a team, and we want to spend time in fellowship with our other teammates who are on the same mission, who are focused on the same game plan. And finally, we talked about the importance of sharing Christ with others. And again, today I want to answer a question, and next week we'll finish up this series. Today I want to say, why would we do this? And again, this fourth area of, as we look at First Things First, this fourth area is witnessing or telling other people about Christ. Why would we do that? Okay, great question. Let me give you the answer. Matthew 4:19, Jesus is recruiting his team, right? So Jesus is the head coach, and he's recruiting his team. And he said, hey, if you come follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Okay? So the point is, you got a choice. But if you follow me, here's my goal for your life. I'm going to make you fishers of men. Check this out. They choose to follow him, but I want you to think about this. He says, I'm going to make you fishers of men. The whole idea of being a fisher of men, Jesus was fishing at that very moment for those men. And he was like, basically, if you follow me, you're going to be like me. You're going to do this same thing, which means you're going to go tell other people about me, right? That's his recruiting message. The question is, why do we share this message? All right, follow me. So that's his first message to them. Come follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. Well, guess what his last message was? Matthew 28:18-20. Many of you know this message. It's called the Great Commission, right? He says, go make disciples of all nations. This is after Jesus has led them for 3 years. The head coach is saying, hey, listen, I'm heading back to heaven. And listen, here's the game plan, guys. Here's the game plan for you. The game plan is for you now to go do the same stuff I just did with you. What you need to do is go tell other people about me. There's no plan B, but this is the game plan. Go tell other people about me, and then when they come to know me, help them grow to a point of spiritual maturity where they can go tell other people about me. Plan A, there is no plan B. Can you get it done, guys? And so understand this. That was Jesus' plan. The question is, why do we share it? We share it one word, out of obedience. We share the gospel out of obedience. And I'm gonna stop there with my I guess my message in terms of from the scriptures. I want to give you a story now to share with you the importance of just simply being obedient. There's a young man who was a walk-on at UAB on a football team. Back in, this is 1996. This young man went to a Bible study because he was, really searching, right? And he goes to a Bible study, and there's a guy there, a guy named Bart Benson, who's a graduate assistant athletic trainer. So he's not even full-time. Well, I guess he is full-time. He's a graduate assistant athletic trainer at UAB. Well, this guy, Bart Benson, the athletic trainer, has a Bible study. It's for football players only. And his goal is, he wants to be obedient to share this message about the importance of, or just about who Jesus is and what that means to us. Long story short, that young man who went to that Bible study because he was searching actually gave his life to Christ. Guess who that young man was, guys? That young man was me. All right. And so here's what I'm saying. Bart Benson, a graduate assistant athletic trainer, chose to be obedient to share the gospel. And as a result, I get a chance to share with you guys on Wednesday morning. And again, Bart led a lot of other guys to Christ too. So my point is, that's why we share. It's being simply obedient, and the fruit, you'll never know all the fruit that God will bring that way. All right, Martin, I'm turning it over to you.
Oh, absolutely. Such a great story and testimony. And, I always tell people, to me, I'll give you two letters, G-O, go. Go tell people what. If you win the lottery, no one has to motivate you to go tell anybody you won the lottery. You tell everybody you meet. And is your life worth $1 million? If not, would you take $1 million if I told you couldn't wake up tomorrow? Or would you rather have life and live? So if your life is worth $1 million or more, go tell people especially when you meet Christ, because he's worth everything. And I always tell people, go is the first two letters of God, good news, and gospel. So go tell somebody about him. Thanks, Scotty, for that encouraging word, man. Tell them where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me at www.blueprintstuffloose.com. Send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right, hey, Scotty, you can use that go.
Oh, I'm stealing it. It's good and stolen, bro.
Love you, man. Appreciate you so much. What an encouraging word. All right, be good. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. You can find him by following him on all his various outlets. That's Scotty Hollins, and he presented every week by Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, guys, all the listeners, callers, viewers, chatters, and followers for being a part of the Martin Houston Show. Thanks, Joe. We'll catch you on tomorrow. And remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.
Thanks, Martin. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe. Same to you, man.
Tide 100.9.